Hey, I'm CryptoBo. Today I'm continuing my beginner series on cryptocurrency and beginner's guide to securing your crypto assets. I'm going to break this up into two parts, so feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to self-custody your assets. There are two ways of having cryptocurrency. Either you have self-custody in the form of a hardware wallet like a Ledger or a Trezor, or you have a custodial wallet where you store your cryptocurrency on an exchange and basically like a crypto bank. Examples of this would be Coinbase, Gemini, Binance, so on and so forth. And quick reminder, if you haven't signed up for Coinbase or Gemini, or you want to buy a Trezor or Ledger, then there are links in the description that either provide you discounts or give you some sort of, like in the case of Coinbase or Gemini, will give you $10 in free Bitcoin just for signing up. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. First, I'm going to assume that you're maybe a beginner and I'm going to talk about custodial wallet systems. Again, so like Coinbase or Gemini, which are my recommendations for newer cryptocurrency users. Now, with a custodial wallet system, you don't have to worry about keeping your keys safe. Now, that comes with its own risks, given that it means that Coinbase and Gemini ultimately have custody of your assets and you have to ask them in order to move it anywhere, spend it, or anything like that. But if you aren't confident in your ability to keep your private keys safe, then that's probably the best option. And if you want to keep your custodied assets safe from hacks like the ones that we've seen happening recently, then there's two things basically that you're going to want. One is a strong, unique password, and the other is two-factor authentication. Basically, you want to put as many hurdles in between you and a hacker stealing your funds as possible, so that if any one part of your security architecture fails, the other ones will compensate for it. So first, let's talk about passwords. What is a secure password? Good rule of thumb is that longer passwords are better than random passwords. And think about it like this. Let's say you're only using the 27 letters of the lowercase alphabet, so A through Z, in your password. You'd probably be using more, but for simplicity's sake of this example, let's talk about the math of it and say you're only using those 27. Now, if you have a two-letter password, the first letter could be any of those 27 letters, and the second character can be any of those 27 letters, which means that it's 27 times 27, or 27 squared is the total number of passwords that it could possibly be. So 27 squared, bam, 729. Now, if someone were to just try and guess your password, 729 is a pretty low number, and it means that they would pretty easily be able to brute force your password. Now, let's assume that instead you use, again, all lowercase letters, but it's 10 digits long. In that world, each of the 10 digits could be any of the 27 letters, so that's 27 to the 10th. And 27 to the 10th is this fairly large number, 2 with 14 zeros, more or less, over it. Now, let's assume, as Edward Snowden told us, that an attacker can guess 1,000,000 times per second. So if we divide that by 1 million, it would take them 205,000 seconds. Well, what's that divided by 60? About 3,000 hours, which is quite a few hours, right, if you're just trying to brute force the password. But let's say you just do, even 15 letters. That number is now up to 49 million hours, which is quite a long time, and you could probably argue is enough time such that no attacker could ever gain access to your password. You could do it even a little bit better and make it 20. Bam. It's 7 with 17 zeros. And again, this is number of hours that it would take to crack that password, assuming that an attacker can guess 1,000,000 times per second. So as you see, as you just add more and more letters onto the end of your password, it gets more and more secure. Now, if you want to make it even more random, add, uppercase letters and numbers. If you're just doing uppercase letters and numbers, then you're already up to 64. And that number starts getting pretty nasty and pretty large pretty fast. And so at that point, you could be reasonably sure that a 15-letter password is basically not going to be brute forced or broken. Again, it should be unique. You should be using it for the first time for your cryptocurrency account, and it should be the only time that you ever use that. You should also change your password every now and again, as you're going to have to enter it a couple of times. And that's to save you from attacks, from malware where people are stealing your keystrokes and eventually find your password. Now, even if with a safe password, if someone were to find it, how could you protect yourself then? Well, then you need to implement something like two-factor authentication. That would be like getting a text message sent to you that you have to enter every time you log into your account, or even better, downloading an authenticator app like Google Authenticator or Authy. The reason why those are preferable is because there's an attack called the SIM swap attack, where someone could basically just call your carrier and convince them that they're you and get your SIM card changed to their phone so that they're receiving all of your calls and text messages. And then if they already know your username and password, they can get into your account and drain all your money, which is what happened with Coinbase over the past couple of weeks. But if you download an independent app like Google Authenticator or Authy, then even if someone has access to your phone, or access to your phone number rather, they can't get in without access to that app, which is physically on your device, which means that an attacker not only would have to steal your username and password, but also your physical device and whatever measures you have protecting that physical device, whether that's, you add in biometric authentication like a thumbprint or Face ID, and all of a sudden you have a pretty secure cryptocurrency account and you can be reasonably sure that nobody's going to hack it. So to quickly go over it again, if you are just letting someone else have custody of your funds, Coinbase or Gemini, because you are not sure that you can protect your private keys, then have a strong, unique password that you only use once and you only use for that account, and enable two-factor authentication, ideally through an app like Google Authenticator or Authy. Say you don't trust a custodial wallet provider like Coinbase or Gemini. Well, you're still going to need to use them to buy your cryptocurrency, or you're going to have to find some other crypto fiat gateway like Binance or FTX. Again, links to which can be found in the description. But once you buy it, you're going to have to withdraw it to your own custody. And then you have basically two options. You can either go through and print paper wallets, which I would not suggest unless you are highly technical, in which case you can, search on YouTube and find tutorials on how to do it. But at that point, you're probably not even watching this video because this is a beginner's introduction to security. The other option is to get a hardware wallet like a Ledger or a Trezor. Again, the links to which can be found in the description if you want to pick one up. Basically, a hardware wallet is like having a paper wallet, but instead of having a paper wallet with just one private key on it, the paper wallet is the 24-word seed phrase, which can restore your wallet in the case that you lose your wallet. So really, the key thing there, no pun intended, is to protect the 24-word seed phrase that you get after getting your hardware wallet. And from there, as long as you keep that protected, you'll set a PIN on your device, and then every time you want to transact with cryptocurrency, you'll have to plug it in and confirm on the device, and there's no other way for people to get to that money without stealing your 24-word seed phrase or stealing your wallet and knowing your PIN. So again, at that point, the impetus of the security is on you. You have custody of your assets, you have your hardware wallet, you have your paper wallet. Basically, you have to figure out how to secure those, either by burying them on your property or putting them in a safe deposit box or whatever it is that you end up figuring out. But that's the way to keep custody of your assets. But the thing to remember, keep the 24-word seed phrase safe. You may want to have backups for it in case you lose one, and you may want to go so far as to get it imprinted on metal so that it doesn't burn in a fire. But there are all kinds of ways to secure it if you're going to take custody of it. But that's the basics of security. Basically, have strong passwords, have two-factor authentication, and if you want to keep custody of your funds, then be careful with your seed phrases. If you want to learn more about hardware wallets, then you can look at my hardware wallet reviews here, or if you want to learn more about scams in cryptocurrency and how to avoid them, then you can look at this playlist here. I'm Crypto Beau. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.